Hi, welcome back to this reading from Seraphina Tarot. I'm Seraphina, and we're going to be doing two piles today. Message from the fairies, particularly in love and relationships. Okay, I am still in the middle of moving, so don't mind. And there's some construction going on back there with the floor, so apologies. But it's nice and quiet. My dogs aren't barking, and there's no horns nearby. So, first pile is this Moonstone pillar. It's beautiful Moonstone. Look at that. That's beautiful. So that's the first pile. And the second pile is going to be this Selenite wand. Look at that. Beautiful. Selenite wand. Okay? So take some time. I'm going to timestamp the piles and choose which one resonates for you. Okay, so we're now on to pile one, which is the Moonstone pillar. My mom got this Moonstone pillar for me when she was on her travels through Ireland. I love it so much. Okay, so I pulled from, I spoke too soon, I'm hearing a horn. I pulled from 1, 2, 3, 4 decks, and the first one was the Message from Fairies Oracle deck, and first card out I got Flower Power, hope you can see that, and the Marriage card. This is immediately telling me what the theme of the reading is, really about showing up for yourself, committing to yourself, because from the angel Romance Angels deck, I have codependency out as the overall theme for this fairy reading. And committing to yourself. This is the theme that I got, this is what I heard, and these three cards talks to me about where showing up for yourself, committing to yourself, being the partner for yourself that you are to your current partners. I'm really getting that this particular pile is for people that are in relationships, that are in, I'm getting different kinds of relationships, but they're definitely in relationships. So let's get into the tarot. I used one of my favorite decks, the Good Tarot. And I got I pulled some cards here, and I have to say that this is a very complicated situation. And the reason why it's complicated that I'm seeing here is because it's for a bunch of different people. So I'm getting that this is for people that are in serious committed relationships that have gone flat. Because the two people have been on very different trajectories, right? Two very different trajectories. They have both been transforming in very different ways. So I have the Emperor and the Queen of Earth. Definitely a couple's reading, but two people who have been on a transformational journey to step into their own power in walking very different spiritual paths, which is natural and normal because spiritual paths are unique and individual. They're a little bit more challenging in relationships, but the potential for growth in a relationship is actually tremendous, because having somebody there to be your mirror while you expand and be a witness for you is a great comfort, as well as an extremely triggering experience, because you don't just have to deal with yourself going through yourself, but you're also dealing with other people, your other person, your partner, going through their own shadows and working through their own self-delusions. And this is exactly what it is, because I'm telling you, we're talking about lots and lots of self-delusions in this relationship. Lots and lots of self-delusions in this relationship, lots and lots of distractions. This particular relationship, each person that has been going through having their own towers fall, being witnessed by somebody else who's having a tower experience themselves, trying to be a witness, wanting to be a witness for the other person, right? Trying to be a witness for yourself and the other person. It just seems like it is just extremely chaotic, emotional, not toxic, because this is a place of extreme, like, growth. This is chaos. This is chaos energy, and I'm seeing this particular partnership is that growth through chaos. Growth through chaos. It is exhausting, I understand. I can't imagine what that would be like. But they've been getting through it. And good for you. Good for you. They have been getting through it, through the grit of it, and just biting down the nails of the teeth. We are going to get through this no matter what. And then in quiet times, lonely times, because transformation can be a very lonely experience, but definitely lots of transformation going on. And in the lonely times, thinking, this is just too much for me, I can't do this. This is a lot. Bravo, good on yourself. This is a lot, because I'm hearing the dialogue, I'm hearing the mental dialogue of these people, this partnership. And it's just so much to have to deal with yourself and what other people are trying to be there for the other person, be the witness for the other person, because you have made a commitment to showing up in your relationship, to being that partner, and falling asleep sometimes, and forgetting about the grander, more altruistic nature that you have, and then just seeing, I'm sick of this. I am sick of it. And that's okay. That's completely normal, completely understandable. Yeah, it's the horns in my neighborhood. Yeah, this is a lot. And just being really stuck, feeling as if you're being stuck, repeating over into this cycle over and over again, feeling stuck, feeling like you're just holding on, you're just holding on. But again, back to these self-delusions, there is so much growth that's going on, there is so much transformation that's going on, there's so much that's happening behind the scenes. These are two people that are becoming the best versions of themselves every day. Like every day, there is a moment of absolute majesty, greatness, even if it's just for 5 minutes, 15 minutes of that day, that they are just supreme. And I understand whether or not, you think that they're matched, or that you're matched with this person in this partnership, and then maybe you can take a break. That's up to you. But I'm telling you that you're not stuck. This is chaos energy. This is the path that you've chosen. And you're doing well. You may not think it, but you are. The fairies think you are. Because this is my fairy deck, right? Which is very different. A very different kind of tarot. It doesn't subscribe to the suits in the way that the Rider-Waite does, and it's very difficult to find this deck, but I love it. This is the Globe card, right? And what I'm hearing from this is basically the search. Fairies believe that the earth is a living entity, right? And they are all aspects of this great being. There is no separation between them and the great being of the earth. And we're all kind of having the same experience, like the earth is having the experience of us. And what their fairies are saying is that you and your partner are experiencing each other, and that's part of the roles that you all are playing. Like you all are being the perfect balance, the perfect give and take. This is the Six of Bells, and the Six of Bells talks about equal give and take. Energy that is given and received, and they're talking about basically what you and your partner share and give to each other, right? He is giving you comforting, uplifting, supportive, healing energy, or that might be you giving to that person supportive, nurturing, healing energy, and you and receiving back from you in that same way. In the same vein, they're also being a mirror and drawing out your shadows, drawing out your triggers, drawing out your areas of hurt, drawing out your insecurities, drawing out the areas that need to be brought to the light, brought to the surface, to be addressed, to be balanced, to be healed, to be to shine. And you're doing that for that person as well. This is perfectly aligned, perfectly balanced. But you don't see it. And maybe they don't see it. But you all are doing so much for each other in your relationship. And two other cards came out. This is the two of Bells and the Three of Acorns. Three of Acorns talks about a pause, right? A pause. This is what the card means, right? A pause, an anticipated pause before you start work. You start to do your labor, right? So that long pause while you're just sort of organizing and getting all your materials together and you're going in to do that thing. And the Two of Bells traditionally is a sort of a warning to keep your eyes open, that there may be something that is just about to come in that you need to be aware. So this is like the pre-shadow of maybe another Tower woman's coming in. So what the fairies are saying is that you're not done yet. You're not done yet. That your relationship is moving into another level. Like if you thought this is chaotic and that you guys were creating all of this energy that was coming up and healing and bringing things and triggering, and that, you know, you've kind of just sort of been able to like get through it. you're leveling up to an even bigger level. And what they're saying is that you get to choose again. You get to choose again whether or not you want to be in this relationship, whether or not in this next phase that is coming forward, whether or not this Emperor, Queen of Earth, whichever one that you feel drawn to, as you are listening to this video and listening to this reading, whichever one you feel drawn to, whether or not in the next evolution of yourself that you are moving into, whether or not that person is going to bring the kind of energy that you want to go through your next level of expansion. Essentially, do you want to continue to grow and heal through chaos? The theme of this reading is flower power marriage, basically. Chaos, commitment, codependency. This is the choice that's coming up for you. Do you want to continue to grow and expand through chaotic partnership, chaos energy? And you can choose to continue on with this partner, or you could decide to let go and usher in a new healing partner for yourself that brings a very different energy for your next level of expansion. The fairies are loyal, not in the same way that humans are loyal. They are loyal to themselves. They are loyal to their purpose. They are loyal to their jobs. And because of that, it makes them loyal to another fairy. Not in the same way that humans are loyal to each other because they have bonded through trauma, through experiences, through shared experiences, blood, family, relationships, geography, location, ethnic identities. Those things to fairies they're enough to have a certain amount of affinity, but they are loyal to themselves, they are loyal to their purpose, they are loyal to the job that has been ascribed to them, that they have chosen to take on in this existence. And fairies are not codependent. This is something that they don't understand from us humans. So for them, moving on to different partnerships seems like a very easy task to do. I finished this particular role, job, or trick or fancy with this particular entity, and on to the next thing, on to the new thing. I want to do something different. This is a very easy thing for them, and so they can tend to be a little flippant and say, well, you can choose and decide whether or not you want to do something different with your next level of expansion. But it's also a very good lesson for us as humans to ensure that we are showing up for ourselves first, that we're filling our cups first, and that the freedom of choice means that we get to experience ourselves and our lives the way that we want to. So while in the last 5 to 8 years I've been in this relationship, and it has been ups and downs, but it has allowed me to grow tremendously, but it has been extraordinarily chaotic. I am grateful and thankful for that partnership, and I will continue to grow with this beautiful energy person. Or I thank you for the experience of having to grow through chaos energy. And for this next phase in my life, next 6 months, next year, I choose to have a much more calming, transformative experience. Choice is yours. Thank you for tuning into this reading. Stay tuned for the rest of my readings that I'm going to be putting out. I hope this was useful and helpful to you. Like, share this reading, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my other podcast, Fraggling with Seraphina, which is anything about anything that I talk about, as well as my Meow podcast that I do with my pod partner, Grieving Goddess. They're both on YouTube. Yeah, and if you like this reading, leave a comment if it, and all I ask is that you hit the like button. Thank you. Love, peace, and hug-ups. Hi, welcome back. We're on to pile 2, which is the Selenite wand, this lovely wand. And immediately from me pulling out these cards, I had to separate them into 2 lines because I'm definitely getting messages for the singles on my top row and messages for people who are in relationships, serious relationships with children. So I'm going to start with those. So overall, this is involving serious commitment that involves children. So this is for my mothers out there. And what the fairies want to say is this is an acknowledgement of all the mothers that are out there in the collective that have been working really hard, that have been sacrificing their own pleasure, their money, their time, their energy, using all of their cups and spoons of energy to support their family. This is an acknowledgement of that from them straight off, that you guys have been doing your best, and they wanted to acknowledge that you guys have been stepping up to the mark bravely. You may not have felt that you've done a good job so far, but you've definitely done your best. Okay? So I and my fairy collective want to thank you for continuing to mother all the people in your lives, whether that be your own biological children, other people's children's, your friends, your husbands, your family members, all of you who have been taking up that role of mother over the last 4 to 5 months. They acknowledge all of the grief and burdens that you have had with the 5 of Cups coming out, all the grief and burdens that you have had to take onto yourself as the mother in your collective, in your own personal community, in your group, in your tribe, the grief that you've had to take on, the loss that you've experienced, and they remind you to, again, to mother yourself, to not forget yourself, and to remember that you can take time to show up for yourself as well and be the mother for you, just as you are the mother for everybody else around. Okay? So the first few cards out were just about that. Was definitely hearing all this love and affection for the mothers out there that was spilling out. And going back to all of this, oh, I'm getting chills. Going back, they're thanking me for saying that to you guys. Going back to all the energy that you've been putting out into your own tribes. Let's start to focus on you now. I'm not saying to give up your roles. This is not what this reading is about. It's not talking about you giving up your roles. of mothering. Absolutely. This is your path that you've chosen, and I want to commend you for that. The rest of this reading, I'm going to start to focus on you and what we need to do for you. Okay? So they're talking about all of the grief that you have taken on for other people has generated its own grief inside you, for you. And they're asking you to take some time out to let go of those burdens. Take some time out to shed those layers of grief, those layers of negative feelings, those layers of loss that you would have absorbed or taken on for other people. And they're asking you to take some time out to let go of that and focus on now your core energy and your core issues, right? With the Hanged Man coming out, I was talking about, seeing a different perspective. So we're talking about taking the time out to notice the difference between how you're feeling. If you're feeling, I'm getting that there's subtleties and layers to the feelings that are coming up for you, and you're not quite sure if it's yours or if it's other people's. Take some time out and focus inward, and recognize whether or not you're carrying the energy signatures of other people. Take some time out to clear that and focus on your own grief that wants to come up to be cleared now. And I know that your sense of purpose, many of you will probably have languages, love languages of acts of service. Definitely hearing that, and that your sense of purpose and that your sense of satisfaction and your service comes from taking on the burdens and the griefs of other people that you feel are not able to do that, and that's very noble. Absolutely. That is something that is needed in society. There are some people who want our help and ask for our help, and if you're able to do that, then absolutely you can step forward and do that. But every so often you need to clean your energy. You need to separate what's not yours so that you can take the time, so that you can have the space to recognize what is your own grief, because you have grieved in the last few months. Definitely getting that you have grieved in the last few months. Definitely hearing that, almost like one particular person, I'm getting almost like a lost sense of self, because everybody else's stuff has covered them up, and they're feeling so burdened. They're feeling so burdened that it's almost like a grief for the loss of themselves. Like they've had to take on a role for other people, and they haven't been able to be themselves for themselves. That's deep. And yet it's twinned and coupled with the sense of purpose and the accomplishment, and the joy of giving. Bless your soul. The joy of giving in harmony and in balance with giving to yourself perfectly lines up with the next two cards that are coming out, the Two of Leaves in the Fairy deck and the Four of Leaves in the Fairy deck. And these two cards really talk about wanting to guard against being taken advantage of, almost as if this grief that you're feeling underneath all of the sense of the joy of being there for people, mothering people, nurturing people, showing up for other people. Underneath, or I should say, the other side of that is this response, defensive response to, I think, the addictive tendencies of the people that you show up for, expecting you to show up for them all the time. The addictive tendencies of these people, that you will take on their burdens, their addictive tendencies to throw off their problems, burdens, responsibilities on you. To like this hypervigilance about letting new people into your life, this guarding about letting new people into your life, letting new love and passion into your life, because you may end up in a similar sort of relationship. Like, there are no new types of relationships that you seem to be finding yourself into. That is a concern and a worry, that your new relationships are going to end up in that same way, in that same sort of almost parasitic. Not all of the relationships are, but there are some significant parasitic relationships there are some parasitic relationships, and wanting to guard against them. And so really it's about finding the balance and working on our discernment of what is, and working on our boundaries and what I'm willing to give and what I'm not willing to give. The Queen of Leaves in the fairy deck. The Queen of Acorns. I saw the acorns and I don't know why I said the Queen of Leaves. The Queen of Leaves is perhaps in the shadow aspect of reading, and that's not on the table. The Queen of Leaves is very similar to the Queen of Swords in the Rider-Waite. She is cold and calculating, and she's kind of seen it all, right? And maybe that's the fear that you may go to the extreme end, where you're gonna be hardening your heart, hardening yourself towards people, that you'll become jaded. Maybe that's the hidden fear. But the Queen of Acorns is a woman who can take on the hard aspects of winter. She can feed her people. The acorn is the winter diet of the fairies in this deck, and she can take on the burdens to make sure that the needs of her people are met. And that's you. That's you. You can take on lots of burdens. You can do the hard things. you can make the sacrifices to make sure that your family, your friends, the people that you care about, needs are met. Whatever it is that you have to do. Remember that. That is who you are. So don't be scared of turning into a Queen of Swords and being all hard-hearted. You are the Queen of Acorns. Your family will always be protected and nurtured by you. Remember to, oh my god, it's like 3 readings I'm doing. Remember to take some time away to clear out your energy so that you can really feel yourself and the strength of who you are, the Queen of Acorns. Okay, so now I'm going to the top line, because clearly there was supposed to be 3 readings, and so they split the second one into 2. So the top one is for my singles and people in ambiguous relationships. I just have to say that, because I'm definitely getting mixed signals, mixed vibes in here. Okay, so forgiving and learning from the Romance Angels. What is on with my speaking today? As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in the present moment. And winter. Gosh, I need some glasses here. Winter. From Fairy Messages. The answers to your prayers and affirmations are fully realized in the winter months. So, clearly getting people who are single and people who are in kind of casual, ambiguous relationships and wanting these next few months, the last ends of the years, to secure a relationship. That's what I'm getting. And there is almost like a desperation to secure the bag being the relationship, to get it locked down, the ones in the ambiguous relationships, to get it settled, defined, the singles having a lot of hope towards getting a relationship and getting a sort of a relationship soon, before there's this timetable before the end of the year. Well, really before Venus goes into retrograde, I think around Christmas time. So a lot of the people that this reading would resonate have an internal clock that they need to get this person, or seal the deal with this person's before Christmas. There's so much hope that can happen, because I have the Sun card that's coming out. This is the time to do that. This is the time to do that before Venus goes into retrograde. In the middle, I was like, okay, so moving from this, so these energies are so different in this reading. There is so much hope for the people who are in the ambiguous relationships, to get the boundaries defined, to get the terms settled. I'm having the 4 of Acorns coming out. I'm having the 10 of Acorns coming out. Yeah, you can get that done. I have the 6 of Hearts here. The 6 of Hearts. Multiple relationships, ambiguous. 3 of Bells coming out. The fairies have everything very specific to say about that. So I'll get back to that in the beginning. But yeah, absolutely, lots of hope that can actually happen. The fairies say, if you want to catch, this is terrible advice. If you want to catch this person, I don't like that language. Can we have another word? If you want to secure the, settle the, what, can you give me another word besides secure the bag, settle the business? Can we have something nice and sweet and cheerful and fun and funny, please? If you want to get what you want, thank you. If you want to get what you want, right? The outcome from this ambiguous relationship, the advice is start now. Start early. Be very clear. Be very clear, but be sweet about it. Be very sweet about it. But you need to start now. There is a lot of hope that you can settle your relationships before Christmas. And they advise you to do that. Don't delay, because I'm definitely getting some, we can sort of delay for closer times. Start now. Don't delay, because the testing, Venus in retrograde, is going to be very challenging for a lot of people in relationships, especially new ones. But but it is also an extremely amazing time to do relationship healing. So if there's any aspects of yourself that needs to heal in a relationship, if there are relationship issues, right, that have to be addressed and fixed, Venus in retrograde is going to be that time. If there are any issues that you have to be able to heal with a partner, Venus in retrograde is going to be a great time for that. So the universe, the sun, is helping people to connect, to get into lovely, potentially healing relationships before Venus in retrograde. So for my singles, there's the cat, she's about to jump. Okay, for my singles, shoot your shot. Singles, there she goes. Singles, shoot your shot. The stars are aligned and the energies are with you. For my people who are in ambiguous relationships, shoot your shot. There seems to be a thread that's running through the collective of people who need to heal things, going to find themselves coupled up with the right person to be able to address those issues. It looks very promising. I'm not telling people to go and sign up on Tinder or Hinge or any of those dating sites. At all. Absolutely not telling people. But I'm saying, if it is that you have a potential person, you're single, and there may be somebody in your vicinity that you might have been looking at, that you think that may have been, showing some little interest in you, and that you've been thinking about doing it, and then you've been putting it off, I would say shoot your shot. Somebody who's, starting to approach you. I am also not telling people to get back with their exes, because I'm seeing lots of exes energy inside here. I am not telling people to get back with their exes. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying is that all of the energies that are around are potentially great for getting yourself in a relationship and hooking up with somebody in anticipation of doing relationship healing in December. As always, tarot does not rule your life and does not determine your choices. You are free to choose. I always tell people, think twice about what a fairy tells you to do. They do not have human perspectives. Their advice to us is invaluable in showing us different viewpoints that we probably would not have been able to see. But this is your life, your path, your emotions, your choice. You are sovereign. I hope that you've enjoyed these readings. I certainly have. Please check out my other readings, and if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Share it to any of your friends that you think might be interested in it. All I ask is that you like this video and leave a comment, because I love getting comments. And yes, thank you for watching.